Hello! welcome to this 2026 version of the Summer Showcase of Accessibility. Turn the music down a bit so I can talk over it. Hello! So, my setup is currently literally tied together with a bunch of tape. My microphone has already tried to be a skydiver several times this week. And yeah, it's hard to keep that adventurous spirit in check. So, sometimes it just comes down in the middle of the night, or in the middle of the day, or in the middle of the room. Ready? What's been happening here? Not a whole lot since Wednesday, obviously. I mean, we were just 2 days ago. I'm still working on that video for the Songs of Conquest video for YouTube. That's almost done. I did get some feedback from the developer of the mod. He's gonna actually use some of the feedback I gave during that stream to do the to give the mod some updates. So that's cool. Overall, I don't think anything was really like off or wrong in that video, so I don't have to really change anything, but I will put some notes in the description to make sure that the things that the developer mentioned are known in that description as well. Obviously, the mod is going very fast, and therefore things will change. That's just how the nature of the beast works currently. And speaking of things that have changed, I'm very curious how this year's Accessibility Summer Showcase is going to look, because obviously we have a lot of mods coming out. It's a bit of a skewed view. If you watch his channel, you see a lot of games suddenly being accessible, but it's important to know that that's usually not the fault of the actual game developers. Most of these mods are coming from people who are sick and tired of waiting for people to remember that they exist and just making their own mods to essentially get the game to work. And the legality of that is questionable, but it does give us the ability to play a whole bunch more games than we were able to last year around this time when we did the ASS 2025. Also, that abbreviation is really unfortunate. The Accessibility Summer Showcase is an initiative by Laura K. Buzz. They're a UK-based YouTuber and freelancer that does all sorts of accessibility stuff. It's not a specific showcase for blind accessibility. It's accessibility all over the place. So all sorts of disabilities will be accommodated in this particular stream. I obviously will mostly be commenting from the blind angle because I don't know to what degree I am able to speak for people who play games in a different way than I do. So in that sense, I will try to comment on what I think might be good for people with disabilities, but I am no expert because, well, frankly, I have only the one, and I think that's plenty for me. Thank you very much. Yeah, this is not a game stream. This is me talking over a video. I'm going to look at the video. There's going to be audio description done by the illustrious Sightless Combat, well known to many of you, no doubt. And yeah, we're going to see what the video shows this time. It's about 57 minutes. So that means the stream is going to be about 7 hours because I like talking. Anyway, let's pause the music. Let's just get right into it, right? There's not much else for me to do. It's really just starting the video and going. Like that's really all there is to it. So I'm going to do that. Take it away, Sightless Combat. You cannot hear that. Hang on, please. Hello, Molidvan. Welcome in. I need to make sure that Chrome is actually audible to viewers, not just to me. That was a very boring stream indeed, wouldn't it? Hello, Pokemon Community Game. What's up? There. Well, have fun with your Zersiax enhanced version of this thing. Take it away, Sightless Combat, for real this time.
Curtains draw back to reveal the Accessibility Summer Showcase logo, sponsored by Manycat Studios and Tech Raptor.
Hello, and welcome to the 2026 Accessibility Summer Showcase. Now entering its 4th year, this event is still the only video game trailer showcase fully dedicated to highlighting trailers for games that have made an effort to be accessible to a wide range of disabled players. I'm Laura Kate Dale, better known online as Laura K. Buzz. I'm a white woman with bright blue hair, shaved short on one side, wearing glasses and a deep blue dress. I know you're here for the...
I always get this question, so I'm going to nip this in the bud now. People describing themselves on stream or in a meeting or on a presentation or sorts of things. I have a very mixed feelings about it. On the one hand, it's giving me information I wouldn't have had otherwise. On the other hand, it's information I did not necessarily feel I needed to be able to follow what I'm watching. And in that sense, it can feel a bit like a sighted-centric decision that a lot of blind people are not necessarily interested in. Having said that, obviously that's super divisive. Like some people love it, some people hate it. I'm kind of neutral on the whole thing. It doesn't bother me. I don't think it really helps me either. It's just there. I don't really care either way. Well, even saying they emailed the Laura K. Buzz about including mods, accessibility mods in next year's thing. I think that might be legally tricky because we're essentially literally breaking games apart and adding new stuff to it. A lot of game developers might not take too kindly to that if we hang it from the rooftops, as it were. I've actually poked Laura K. Buzz a few times as well. I'm actually curious if they don't like me for some reason because they haven't really gotten back to me on anything. But I'm sure they're very busy. It's not a problem at all. Okay, let's continue to the video game, shall we?
Video game trailers, so I'm going to try and keep this introduction brief.
Cool.
Over the next 45 minutes or so, you're going to see a bunch of trailers for upcoming video games. Some of them are being made by disabled game developers, and all of them are being designed to be accessible to as wide a range of disabled players as possible. We can't promise that every video game in the showcase will be playable by every person tuning in, but our aim is to make sure that if a game seems exciting, you know up front whether or not you're going to be able to play it.
That's an interesting one. So on the one hand, we're saying to a widest variety of people possible. That word possible bothers me a tiny bit because that kind of seems to imply to me, at least from like a subjective perspective, that it wasn't possible to make them more accessible for the groups that were skipped, not because of, money reasons or resource, like lack of resources, just because it cannot be done. That's obviously nitpicking. I'm not giving them any crap for this, but I don't know. I've heard that phrasing, and then again, I don't really know how you would say this in a way that makes more sense. Because if you say accessible for everyone, then that's not right either. And if you say accessible to maybe as many people as they were able to or they could, might be giving off a slightly less door is closed in your face vibes. I don't know. I'm nitpicking. I'm wording this, and that's just a thing I do. Definitely not any shade on the YouTuber or the event in question.
Our hope is that for most of you tuning in, there will be at least a handful of games shown during the showcase that will have the correct mix of accessibility settings and features that you need to be able to play the game upon release.
Let's hold that one in high regard. One game I'm excited about is Marvel's Wolverine, which is coming in September. That seems to have quite a few accessibility settings, which may or may not be enough to play it. It looks promising, honestly. It does look very promising, sort of at a Spider-Man 2 level, maybe even higher than that. So I'm definitely keeping an eye on that one with bated breath. Not sure if that's going to be featuring in this showcase, but we'll have to see. I also noticed that. No, actually, no. That's for later. Let's go.
If you want to see most of today's games in one place, organized by accessibility support type, you can check out our Steam event page by going to bit.ly/Summer Showcase 2026.
Okay, this was a problem last year. I'm going to check this again to see if it's a problem again. Last year, what happened was that link only worked if you capitalized the S's, and that was not mentioned in the video. So if you're not looking at the captions as a blind viewer, you would not know that. It looks like with the small letter S's, it doesn't work. Let's try with the big S's. See if I just screwed something up or if it's just not live yet. Let's have a look. Yeah, no, okay, so it is very much a omission on the side of the YouTuber in this particular case. Looks like we may not have video. Please hold. Interesting. We had video, now we do not. Oh, I'm dumb. I'm very dumb. I have a thing. I have a really interesting thing where I change to a scene where only my camera is visible. So it's a bit more open. It's a bit more just chatting. And I forgot to change the scene. So I was perfectly visible the entire time, but the video was not. So the people who can see got the blind experience for a bit by just listening to the audio description. We didn't miss much. We just missed the logo and Laura talking, so it's fine. We don't have to restart, but it's fixed now. We can continue. But yeah, so the link is bit.ly, so bit.ly/Summer Showcase with both S's capitalized, then 2026 the numbers. If you do the lower case, you're not going to get anywhere. It doesn't work. And this is properly done in the captions. I can see them in the subtitles. That's where they've been typed correctly. But it's never mentioned audibly that you have to capitalize those S's. And that was a problem last year as well. So I'm guessing that is just not something anyone told them about. I could have sworn I may have, but maybe I forgot. I will put a comment under this video when I'm done here. Let's continue and watch the video.
There you'll find demos for some of our games, as well as be able to wishlist any games that catch your eye. Our headline sponsors for this year's Accessibility Summer Showcase are Manycat Studios and TechRaptor. I'll have more information about both of our headline sponsors a little later in today's showcase. Until then, a huge thank you to both of them for their support. The Accessibility Summer Showcase is a non-profit event and their support has been invaluable in allowing us to once again offer American Sign Language, British Sign Language, and audio-described versions of the showcase.
Yeah.
Well, that's enough from me. Let's jump into the game trailer.
Yeah, very cool that there's ASL and BSL versions. I saw that when I started setting up here. We obviously have the audio description version just because, well, I myself am blind, and honestly, my primary viewership is blind, so we may as well go with that one. But yeah, I would kind of love to be able to... you can do this now, I think. You can have multiple audio tracks be part of one specific video. Like, Google already did translate this particular video to like 12 languages. It might have honestly been good to include the audio description in the regular main version and then have the audio and then have the ASL and BSL possibly still be their own thing, because I don't think you can add video tracks yet. But I could be wrong on that. I'm not sure. I'm not well versed in that specifically. Let's go to first game.
The Accessibility Summer Showcase logo transitions between trailers with the following sound effect.
Hi, I'm Tommy, one of 3 stunning developers from Daydream Gallery, an indie game collective creating extremely cool and unique experiences. Trading Card Inspector is a quirky, hilarious take on the cozy job simulator for a job that doesn't and shouldn't exist. You'll be asked by the nefarious Habubis Corporation to value real cards and shred fake cards from their award-winning trading card game. Along the way, you'll make friends, collect a handsome paycheck, and unravel a grand corporate conspiracy.
Trading cards with silly creatures like a missile-firing pterodactyl are placed into the center of the screen, then compared against type charts.
Our art style isn't just super slick, cool and cute, it's high contrast by default, with 40 color palette options for you to unlock and choose from.
Okay, I know I think the whole thing is a bit of a bit, but I'm not loving the whole, we are awesome, we are stunning, we are cute, we are amazing. Not my style of advertising. Could be somebody else's cup of tea, it's just not mine.
You'll be able to pick out the colors you find easiest to see, or whatever colors you find cool.
Color palettes are selected with exaggerated names such as Grass Shark Gambit or Blue Iris White Wyvern.
We've also added
Love the Yu-Gi-Oh reference there.
a pair of settings to increase the size of cards and memos. Great for players using a small or handheld screen who may need assistance due to our 1-bit art style.
Selected cards automatically increase in size when hovered over in this mode.
We thought it was really important to avoid timed inputs. There can sometimes be a lot going on in Trading Card Inspector, so we wanted to give players all the time in the world to make the right choices, both in gameplay and in the story.
I think that's just a standard thing. Honestly, in cozy games, you generally don't want super rapid inputs. You don't want a huge amount of fail states, so good job sticking to the genre.
There is one gameplay modifier that adds some challenge by slowly dissolving the valuation criteria on the card over time. If that's not your cup of tea, you can turn it off in the pause menu anytime and choose not to enable it in endless mode, with no penalty.
A card depicting a small wizard in a large hat is compared against a valuation guide to assess its overall sale price.
All you need to play Trading Card Inspector is a mouse, or any pointing device where you can left-click and drag. It's as simple as that. You can also play this game with a controller or on your Steam Deck.
Oh, good.
In addition to the mouse controls, you can also press the up, down, left and right arrows on your keyboard or controller D-pad to change the value amount. In addition to all of that, we have custom volume controls as well, and a dedicated option to remove unwanted rotation from our cards, making them easier to read.
Both sides of the sword-wielding Plabo card are inspected before sale.
Big thanks to Laura for putting this showcase together every year and for letting us be a part of it. We hope to see you when Trading Card Inspector launches very soon, this June.
Free demo available now on Steam.
Okay, where to start? This could have been screen reader accessible, I think. You would need to do some extra work. You would need to make sure that the visual characteristics are somehow communicated through text. That includes some kind of situation where, like, you need to compare fake against real. I'm not entirely sure how that would be done, because I just don't know how exactly that would work in visual terms, as it were. I'm assuming you need to look for like specific things on the card and match them against a guide or like an original copy or an original article. I think this would have been a really fun challenge to make Screen Reader accessible, and it doesn't appear that they have done that, which is a shame. With controller support, we essentially also have keyboard support, or at least we have non-mouse support, which means you either have a floating cursor that you could add snap to targets to, or click sounds to figure out where you are on the screen. Yeah, it doesn't appear that they've done that here, and I would have loved to see them try that. It's not been done. It's a shame. So this is the first game, and we cannot play it. There's another game called TCG. What is it? TCG Shop Simulator or TCG Store Simulator that got a mod recently that I'm guessing is the next best thing to this. But again, that's a mod. That's not the developer who made that choice. So a shame that we can't play this one. Would have liked to play that. Sounds like a fun, cozy experience. Yeah, that's really all I have to say. I think this could have been done. I think it just wasn't done, which is unfortunate. And again, that brings me back to that as many as possible argument I had earlier. Like it sort of gives me a vibe of we tried, but we failed. And I think there's a whole lot of people out there in the world that could have helped out with this and would have been a very good guide or a very good reference to include in this. And that's not been done. So yeah, unfortunately, first game is a no for us.
A pixel art cyberpunk man is thrown out of a skyscraper window.
Welcome to Torment Hexus, a game about trying to fix the world, one dead CEO at a time. You're an ex-battle mage who has decided to solve the problem of capitalism by ejecting its leaders out the nearest window. Torment Hexus mixes tactical roguelike combat and match 3 puzzling into a Magitech cyberpunk setting. Gameplay is turn-based, with no time pressure on any inputs. It can be played with a mouse, keyboard, or gamepad. And of course, input bindings can be remapped.
That's not an of course, but I appreciate the optimism.
Visual effects like scan lines and bloom can be disabled for increased visual clarity.
Also good for OCR, that.
And for people with photosensitivity, we've added an option that swaps out the most intense visual effects with more simplified and subdued versions. The most exciting thing we're trying to do with Torment Hexus is make it accessible to blind and low sight individuals.
Oh.
The game exposes a running narration of events to the operating system, which can be vocalized by screen reading software like NVDA.
Tactical grid. You at F7 with 39/100 health. Tile is threatened by Ghost Alpha at F3. Deleter Alpha at D7. You can move left to E7. You can move right to G7. You cannot move up to F6. Blocked by Fountain. You can move down to F8, but Tile is threatened by Ghost Alpha at F3. Well,
yes, this is exactly how it should be done. Very well done, guys.
1 with 20 health. Raptor Alpha at C7 with 15 health. Deleter Alpha at D7 with 20 health.
This is challenging work. The game has a lot going on, and it's difficult to present the information the player needs to know as a linear sequence of words.
Then don't do that. Make hotkeys.
We're working with consultants in the accessibility community to iterate on the tech, and we
Let me guess.
hope that the final game will be one that everyone can play.
Yeah, no, okay, so to give a little bit more context about this, we've seen this a few times in various games, mostly modded games, so think of what we played Wednesday. Songs of Conquest does this. Heroes does this a tiny bit. Civ does this a tiny bit. Super Robot Wars Y does this a lot, actually. It's very similar to this. We're also seeing some concepts of chess, where like a certain square is under threat from a certain unit that may move there next turn. So that is very cool. We also saw the information overload problem happen in Necromancer Nonsense last year in the Games for Blind Gamers jam. So this is not an easy problem to solve. Like, you really need to somehow condense what's happening into a way that gives you all the information you need, but also doesn't make it overwhelming for people. And finding that sweet spot is hard. It's really hard. Usually what I would recommend people do in that case is provide the absolute minimum things you need to know first, like first and foremost, add hotkeys to get the rest that you need to know, like maybe a hotkey to see what units are threatening this square, a hotkey to jump to the next available friendly or hostile unit, things of that nature, to make the amount of information you have to keep in your mind smaller and therefore make the game more accessible, not in the blind sense, but in the pick-upable sense. So yeah, I'm very curious about this one. I'm going to keep this one in mind. I might even play it if there's a free demo. Let's find out if there is. Oh, we don't get to...
In Colorbound, color is...
We don't get to be told that. Okay, so Torment Hexes. We'll have to look at that on Steam. Not everyone's cup of tea for sure. Very tactical. But yeah, sounds fun. Let's give that a go on stream once it comes out. Colorbound next.
More than just hue. In this palette platformer, you play as Anku, an Aymara boy on a journey to reunite his late grandfather's band. Travel across the diverse landscapes of the Andes, solve unique color-based puzzles, and experience a heartwarming narrative steeped in South American culture.
A panpipe pointer is used to activate colored platforms.
To keep the world vibrant while accommodating colorblind players, Colorbound includes 3 alternate color schemes. The Protanopia and Deuteranopia corrected palettes may be useful to those with red-green colorblindness, while the Tratanopia corrected palette can help with blue-yellow colorblindness.
The player attempts to reach paint drops by crossing colorful platforms.
I hope you don't call the presets that, because some people may not know which one worked for them. It might be better to use less scientific terms for them, but yeah, it's good to have them for sure. And I guess it doesn't take super much time to swap through a couple of color presets to make sure that they work for someone. I'm generally in games like this, I'm sort of against using big words if you don't have to. But yeah, that's again a subjective thing.
For additional visual accessibility, players can disable camera shake, increase the size of the UI and cursor, and adjust resolution.
Good for visually impaired players, yeah.
Colorbound is designed to be approachable for players with limited mobility. Though there are some puzzles that involve timed inputs, they never require button holds or rapid presses. Full input remapping is available for keyboard, mouse, and controller.
That's good.
All mouse inputs can be remapped to keyboard controls, so the game is playable with just a keyboard.
That's also good.
There are also presets for one-handed controls, allowing players to comfortably play the game with...
Very nice. A lot of the time that's skipped. Even in accessibility mods and accessibility features, I see a lot of two-handed controls. One-handed people, that's a whole entire different ball game. And a lot of the time, they'll have a lot of trouble with the keyboard shortcut heavy side of things, or in devices, for example, the Ableton Move, which now has a very good screen reader, but requires essentially a three button shortcuts for a lot of things, which are across the device. So if you have only one hand to work with, you can lock some of them down, but it becomes pretty tedious, I would imagine.
Left or right hand alone.
The player attempts to rescue a man's lost llama.
There are no time limits on puzzles or penalties for making mistakes. Most puzzles can be solved in only a few moves. If you ever get stuck, hints are available in all levels.
A book allows hints to be revealed piece by piece.
Panpipe Studio, with support from Whitethorn Games, has worked hard to make the game as inclusive and accessible as it can be. We hope you will enjoy playing Colorbound, releasing later this year on PC and consoles.
Releasing 2026 on Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC.
This is a tricky one. It's like, on the one hand, this is all about color, so making this blind accessible would definitely be a challenge. Because you have to work with an entirely different canvas, as it were. You have to work with sound for this. Or you have to work with TTS and hope that the people that you're trying to reach are able to visualize, for lack of a better term, the color that you're talking about. You also need to work with spatiality, as in like it's a 2D world. Making that linearly accessible would be very challenging. I think you could do some really interesting things with certain colors being mapped to certain sound sources. But again, that would be quite the undertaking. I would love to try like working with them to make that be a thing. I would love to be a consultant on a project like that. It sounds like a really fun challenge, but I can also kind of see why this one is hard to do. Like, I would love to play this. This sounds really fun, but I can see how that might be tricky just from what they're doing. Hello, Nyon64. We are looking at the Accessibility Summer Showcase 2026 that Laura K. Buzz, a YouTuber from the UK, does every year. Basically, they look at trailers from games that are coming up that are basically proud of the accessibility work they've done. I look at it from a blind perspective. We've already looked at a few games. 2 of them were not accessible for us specifically. One was Torment Hexus is going to be playable by the blind from first-party accessibility efforts, which is very rare. So that is definitely something that needs to be praised. Wolverine. I don't think Wolverine will be. I think this is mostly indie games that would be in this category. But yeah, maybe it's in here. I am very excited for Wolverine. I don't know about God of War. I don't know what features are in that game. I did know one was coming. I also know that I'm pretty sure the person who pulled hardest on the accessibility side of things for Ragnarok left the company right after that game came out. So given that Ragnarok was never properly finished, I have not a huge amount of hope for God of War, but we will see how that pans out. Let's continue to the next game.
Hi there, my name is Elisabeth Siversen, also known as Arevia Online, and I am a disabled gamer and accessibility consultant from Norway. I'm a pale white woman in my 30s with dark blonde hair, wearing a green jacket and a white t-shirt. The next game that is coming up is the first big Norwegian game I have had the honor to be an accessibility consultant for.
Cool.
Working with the developers at Megapop has been an incredible experience, both due to their constant want to learn and adapt to new information, and due to their hope of making this the most accessible reef builder out there. From the first time I met the dev team at Megapop, it has been obvious to me that they truly value and understand the need for accessibility in gaming. They have tirelessly met every barrier I have pointed out with creativity, trying to expand what accessibility can be in this genre, while at the same time understanding their own limitation. It was especially impressive to see how Siv, the UI and accessibility programmer, worked with making this game fully playable with both a controller and mouse only, developing an option for on-screen camera control and zoom. And with that, let me introduce you all to the next game, made by Megapop and out now. This is Life Below.
Okay, we'll check that in a second. Molitvan says, Wolverine's going to be awesome based on what we know. God of War, we have no hope for. But if it is accessible, they're going to play it a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know where the push for Ragnarok accessibility came from exactly. I wasn't privy to that when it was happening. It was before I started streaming, basically. And I know there was one person who really did a lot of effort. They were also on Twitter a lot, answering questions, fielding like complaints and things. And then after that game came out, they basically left the company. And yeah, we still have very important screens that don't work with a screen reader, navigation assist, poops the bed regularly. A lot of puzzles are just not properly doable without a guide. They dropped the ball on that one a little bit, I feel. But yeah, maybe the next God of War one is better. We'll have to see. Let's see what this Life Below is all about.
This is Life Below, a city builder that takes place in the ocean. A reef builder.
Beautiful coral reefs are shown. Some are filled with life, others trash like plastic bags. A tech tree is shown for upgrades while the player builds their ecosystem.
Accessibility has been a priority for us since the start. The goal is to make Life Below as fun and playable for anyone who wants to play it. That means not just adding some settings, but trying to bake in accessibility into the game itself. Let me show you what I mean. We can start by picking a difficulty mode. We have peaceful, challenge, and then we also have balance. We of course have to add time controls, and most people don't think of this as accessibility, but it allows you to pace the game however you want. We also have some settings related to that, like pausing during critical moments automatically, pausing when the game is unfocused, like when your cursor leaves the screen, or if you're in a very complex menu. We've also added a bunch of tooltips to help you guide through the game. My favorite example is when you're placing down buildings, the coral is red, and it's explaining to me exactly why I can't place it here. We have a few UI settings, like changing the scale here, change the transparency of UI objects, and reduce the motion in case you get motion sick. You can control the camera sensitivity and the scroll sensitivity and a few other motion settings here. Life Below is compatible with pretty much anything that your computer recognizes as a controller, something like a gamepad, but also like an Xbox adaptive controller. But you can also play the entire game with just a mouse, with the on-screen camera control setting, which opens up the game to be played with the eye tracking technologies. We also can't forget about the rebinding menu, where you can rebind most actions, which lets you infinitely customize the way you interact with Life Below. We've also got other motor function-based settings in here, like input cooldown and stamp style multi-selection, and we've been really careful about not adding any QuickTime events or rapid button presses into the game. We are super proud of the features, however there are some things we couldn't add. Text-to-speech and high contrast UI modes will sadly not be available. The game is also stereo only, so you can't switch it to mono audio, and although we do have difficulty modes, you can't change these in the middle of the game. We felt like that was kind of important to mention. Okay, so to summarize, we have custom time.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. A lot of the games like to be cryptic about that sometimes and just tell you, no, you can't do that, and figure out why. Now, this is a tricky one because on the one hand, accessibility for these types of games has been done. Factorio is the best example I have. It is sightless combat, yeah. No, the entire video has audio description. It's not just the trailer itself that does. And yes, Sightless Combat is doing the trailers, the descriptions. Like I said, this could be made accessible. It's not easy though. Like I'd be curious to see why text-to-speech and high contrast specifically were difficult. I'm guessing that's an engine limitation they ran into, or they just didn't have time. Doing this right for blind people would be very difficult. You would need to know a lot about, you know, how big a building is, how far, like what you can build, why you can build. It's certainly doable though. Like again, it's very similar to what various other things like I said, Factorio. I guess to a degree Terraria, although you build the buildings block by block in that. There's another game that just builds buildings and you just put them down. I can't think. I guess Stardew kind of does. So yeah, there's definitely games that have this mechanic, and I'm sure there's a lot of other things you could lift from other games, particularly recently accessibility modded games, to make a lot of this accessible. It's just very new ground, and I'm honestly very impressed by what they managed to do. It's very cool. Obviously, we can't play it, and that's a shame, but they definitely did do their best, and from that consultant's little review we heard just now, it does sound like they really tried to get the best out there. Just, you know, sucks that we can't play it. Maybe someone will make a mod for it.
Time control with unique cognitive settings, UI scaling and reduced UI animations, motion sickness settings.
Oh, right. I forgot to go into something Molitvan said. Basically, Twitter and Blue Sky. I don't know Twitter so much. Blue Sky, I would definitely say that's a lot of people still. Twitter is that weird one where like some people doggedly cling to the sinking ship, I feel, and that's just where they are because that's where all their friends are. And if you're all in the same bubble and that bubble isn't touched by the rampant bullshit that's happening on that platform, I guess it can still be a safe and fun place to hang out at. It's just kind of interesting to be there if you care about accessibility, because I don't think many people in the disability community really hang out there as much as they used to, at the very least, if not at all. I think some of the big sellouts, sorry for having to say that, some of the big people who feel they can get numbers there might still be there, but if you care at all about like the safety of your community, I feel Twitter might not be the place for you at this point. It is a very interesting place these days. That's all I can really say.
The game can be played with just a mouse, but we offer a variety of control methods and additional motor settings. We hope to see you in the reef in Life Below.
You will not be seeing me, unfortunately, but yeah, still, good effort. I appreciate what you've done here. Oh. What this?
Enough wasting time. Let's get to work.
Wolverine?
Hello, I'm Fabrice Breton, a French developer. You might know my previous game, Brock the Investigator.
Oh, this guy.
A game mixed with beat 'em up, which has full accessibility to blind players. This is our new project, Zersiax Twitch, made in collaboration with Cypher, an American friend, artist and writer. In this game, taking place in the same dystopian universe, we are exploring a group of rat characters named Squealers in a visual novel focused on survival, where you make choices that matter with multiple endings.
Zersiax Stray's characters are large, burly biker rats in a modern metropolitan city.
The game has full voice acting, and the accessibility offers narrated menus, large fonts, hotspots with arrow keys and more. I'll add audio descriptions for the release. A demo is available on Steam, GOG and itch.io, and I invite you to wishlist Zersiax Twitch on Steam.
I will do that as soon as I figure out how to spell it. But yes, accessibility. This developer is cool. Cowcat Games is definitely a good developer. I like Brock. It's not something I play for hours on end, but it's a really fun game. For example, if you're on a console, like you can play that on a Nintendo Switch or a Steam Deck, no problem. And it's just fun to just carry around while you're on a train or on a plane or another vehicle. It can definitely be fun on that. I'm just not. It's a little interesting, the art style and the story style is very sort of funny, but also dystopian in a strange way. It's cool. It's definitely a bit of an acquired taste, I feel, and I guess this will be very similar. And again, I'm a bit of a proponent of saying that visual novels generally should be accessible because it's mostly just text and choices. Yeah, I did a couple. I did Dual Links is practically almost done. I did Hacknet, which is almost done. I need to properly get back into Greyhack, which is one of those interesting games that needs a lot of work up front, and then once you've done all that, half of the game suddenly unlocks. So, yeah. There's plenty of things. And yeah, I've definitely not been using Max, except I think I used Max for 1 month. And then I switched back to Pro. So it can definitely be done. You just need to be a little bit clever about how you do certain things. And you'll learn that with practice, for sure. But yeah, this is an interesting game. I'll keep my eye on this one. Not sure if we'll play it on stream. Brock is, like I said, kind of an interesting game. And we've definitely played that on stream years ago. So maybe we might give this one a look at some point. We'll see. Demo is out, so yeah, we might check it out.
I expected. What? Time's up. There's nowhere left to run to now, Chief.
What's with the anime voiceover and anime music choice there?
Zersiax Strays. Limited time demo, now available on Steam. A young girl sits drawing at a table.
I'm Evie. This is my room. I like purple. People always say I see the world differently, which is weird, because
I like purple too, and I get that comment all the time as well. Do we have that in common? Random girl from a game I don't know the name of yet?
can see it just fine. Oh, the leaves are so crunchy. It's the hearing it, and the smelling it, and the everything at oncing. That's the tricky part. But I have a system. My favorite pen. Why is it here?
Between shots of walking around school, Evie is seen obsessively organising her schedule and the physical layout of her school stationery supplies.
Canvas of Thoughts was built around different ways of experiencing the world.
Yeah, I did most of it.
Sensory-aware gameplay and player-paced interactions.
Tick, tock, tick, tock.
I can see that, Molitvan.
customizable accessibility settings, including colorblind support, and adjustable dialogue pacing. A safe space to slow down, stim, and recover. Created alongside neurodiverse community feedback.
I should not open that.
Evie is seen shaking her hands back and forth in an attempt to emotionally self-soothe, known as stimming.
I liked some parts.
I know that. You can focus really well sometimes.
Ich verstehe Liebe nicht.
Canvas of Thoughts is fully voice acted in both English and German.
Hey, why do you always draw by yourself?
Because it's quieter.
Canvas of Thoughts. Play the demo now. Funded.
Definitely love the definitely love the clearly indie voice acting recording. Very nice. Yeah. I think this one should be accessible to the blind, but I don't think it is. And that's a shame. I think there's a lot of people, like, disabilities often come together. So I think there's a lot of blind people who might be really benefit from this, but I don't think they're currently included, which is unfortunate. We do, like, this is kind of sad, but I think we had literally one... Was there any blind accessible games in last year's summer showcase? I remember there was the awards where the Hades mod got an award, but I think that was a different thing. That was a different showcase that actually had some kind of awards. This is just trailers. I'm trying to think, were there any blind accessible games in last year's ASS? Because I don't think there were, and we're on 2 now, so we're doing better in that sense.
By Vienna Business Agency and City of Vienna.
Wishlist Canvas of Thoughts on Steam.
Hello again. I hope you're enjoying the showcase so far.
Hi.
I'm popping in briefly to tell you a little bit more about this year's headline sponsors, Manycat Studios and TechRaptor. Manycat Studios is a disabled-led accessibility consultancy, supporting game studios in building inclusive and accessible experiences from concept to release. As a disabled-led team, Manycat Studios partners with the games industry to create more accessible games, ensuring that players of all abilities can participate in their love of gaming.
I have a bit of a problem with this framing. And it has everything to do with the universality, I guess, of the word disabled and the word accessible. I'm pretty sure Manycat Studios has no games currently that are blind playable. So people of all abilities is currently false. Like, I'm sure they might at some point, make that better. Does Manycats have any blind accessible games? I don't want to talk crap about a game company that I don't know about, but I don't think they do. I'm not 100%, but I don't think they do. And again, that brings us back to what I said in the beginning, as many as possible. Right now, you're going the other direction, is saying of all abilities. No, of as many as they can is a better framing here, because, well, I don't think I've seen a game from them yet that I can play. So, but again, that has to do with how universal accessibility and universal disability is. Like, they're two different words to encompass so incredibly many things, incredibly many different situations people might be in, circumstances people might be battling. So it is hard to frame that in a way that makes sense and that uses the words people know, but also that is fair to everyone who has to be sort of labeled by that same label, as it were. So while I'm sure Manycat Studios does a lot of admirable things, yeah, I have a little bit of problem with this framing. I gotta be a reactor, I got to have an opinion. If you don't like it, you can leave!
The studio operates with authenticity and a commitment to a healthy, sustainable remote work culture.
That's good.
TechRaptor.net is a games media website, founded back in 2013, that publishes high-quality news, reviews, opinions, features, and guides for both video games and tabletop games. As someone who has been a staff writer, freelancer, and editor at a number of major games media websites over the last decade, I can vouch for the quality of writing and reporting over on TechRaptor.
I have never heard of this site.
AI stance, and put a portion of their profits each year towards supporting great causes. You can find their coverage at techraptor.net. I imagine by the time you're seeing this, there'll already be a great write-up of the 2026 Accessibility Summer Showcase live on their website. Thanks again to both Minicat Studios and TechRaptor for their support of this year's showcase. Their support has made our accessible adapted showcase variants possible. Anyway, time to get back to the game trailers.
Cool. What's next?
A CRT TV turns on with static. A game appears with a pixel art hiker traversing a side-scrolling stage.
Okay, before we continue, what is it with all the pixel art games that are coming out lately? Like, so many people hankering for the good old days, I guess. It's just really obvious how many of these are retro-inspired graphics or retro-specific. Like, this is a CRT TV. We haven't seen those since the 90s. We've seen some pixel art. We've seen 1-bit graphics. It's very obvious just how many accessible games come out in that style. I'm guessing it's easier and cheaper to make, but it's kind of getting a little bit much almost, I would say.
He's struggling to make basic jumps due to an awkward control scheme.
Hi, I'm Yamako, a solo indie game developer, and I make games under the name ./badgames.zip. This is my first project, released last October, called An Unplayable Game. It's a short puzzle platformer that's about accessibility settings in video games, with half an hour of developer commentary that's unlocked when you reach the end.
The player, using a single mouse pointer, struggles to click both jump and a direction at once.
The game is designed to fully accommodate players who typically can't play platformers because of the dexterity and timing that's required to play them. It's only about 15 minutes long at most to avoid fatigue, and it was designed for comfortable mouse-only single-button controls, or gamepad with a virtual cursor, if you prefer. You won't need to hold down any buttons or keys, as it's completely beatable with only short presses. You also don't need to worry about dealing with tight timing, even on difficult jumps. There are game speed settings that let you play entirely at your own pace with no timed input whatsoever.
The player, refusing to turn on accessibility settings, struggles with a basic jump.
For those that might have issues reading the game's stylized pixel font, there's also a toggle to switch it to Atkinson Hyperlegible, which is a sans serif font with a focus on distinct letter forms. As a final note, the main menu does include an ongoing static noise, but for those who are bothered by those repetitive noises, there's a prompt to mute that sound effect completely before you even reach the main menu for the first time. So, if you don't want to hear it, you never have to.
The player continues the impossible task of trying to click 2 inputs at once with a single mouse.
An Unplayable Game was a huge passion project for me, and I truly hope you enjoy it.
I saw this game zip by last time around Global Accessibility Awareness Day. Steve Saylor, friend of the channel, I think was talking about it on his channel on that day. And I was wondering about playing it, but it does look like, very interestingly, they forgot to think about blind gamers. Like, I'm literally not giving them any shade for this. It's very common that this happens, but yeah, essentially the whole premise of this game is to show off what it is to be an inaccessible game and how you have to jump through hoops to get the game to work for you if you can. But they forgot us. Which is almost ironically funny. Like, it's one of those interesting things where you can either like get really pissed off about this or just laugh at the applicability of how this is completely funny. Like, I want to play this on stream just to see if we get anywhere. There's no TTS in the menu, so we can probably not even properly click the start button, but we can give it a quick look, because I am definitely classified as someone who normally has trouble playing games. And while they definitely added a lot of accessibility features, like I said, I'm not giving this person any shade, because they absolutely did a lot of work to make it work for a whole bunch of people. Just we are not one of those people. And for a game that really highlights what accessibility features are and what happens when they are missing. I find that very funny.
So far, it's been nominated for 3 awards, and even won an award for Most Innovative Game at a local indie game showcase event. It also has a 94% very positive review score on Steam.
Another sad and sort of ironic in the same vein thing is that you get awards for innovation by showing off that accessibility is important and that people should do it already. That's not an innovation. That's not an innovative idea. That's been said for 20 years. The fact that you think it's innovative says a lot about the mindset of the jury, I feel. But again, no shade. I'm just sort of having a bit of fun with this.
And it's free, downloadable on Steam or playable in browser on itch.io.
We'll take a look. We'll take a look at some
point. Thank you for your time and for your interest in an unplayable game. Now, please enjoy the rest of the showcase.
The player still continues not to use accessibility settings, remaining stuck on a single jump.
Highway Noir is a stylized arcade driving game that drops you into car chases straight out of an action movie.
Oh boy.
You will weave through traffic as you escape police, take down enemies, and race against the clock, all in stark black and white with flashes of colour.
Again, very retro-looking visuals here.
When you land in the main menu of Highway Noir, you can jump into Instaplay mode with a single click. Optional customization of features like objective, number of police, and traffic density are available. For the campaign, a story so far recap is offered, but no spoilers here. Moving on. Story missions include voice dialogue to drive the plot and feed you objectives. The volume of dialogue, music, and sound effects can all be adjusted separately, and subtitles are on by default.
I honestly feel those individual volumes for things and subtitles should be up in that list of, well, yes, of course you can do that. That seems like such a no-brainer thing to add. Like, people have different screens, people have different speaker sets. Of course you're going to want to change those volumes. But again, I definitely know that a lot of games still don't let you do that. So, yeah, that's an accessibility feature-ish.
Tone tags can be enabled that flag up if a character is angry or being sarcastic, for example.
That's really cool. Definitely a lot of people who would not be able to tell that from context or from tone of voice. Love that they've done that here.
While driving through a city, a conversation takes place between a shadowy hooded figure and a woman in a smart business suit.
Minimalist white text on black fits the neo-noir aesthetic, but it can be tweaked for visibility. There is an option to simply increase the size of all UI elements on screen, as well as a toggle to black text on white.
The player's white car dodges and weaves between yellow enemy racers on a busy street.
For gameplay itself, Vision Assist will emphasise obstacles and gameplay elements. Objectives, threats, and rivals are always colour-coded, so you know what you're dealing with. The colour codes can be customised for a palette with colour-blindness-friendly options.
Something, don't use colour for, like, thing as the only way to indicate things, something?
Police cars, highlighted in pink, can be crashed into and run off of the road mid-street car chase.
Fun.
Highway Noir is fast and chaotic, but even here help is at hand. A game speed slider allows you to slow down the action, giving you more room to breathe. That action can be controlled by keyboard, controller, or even mouse alone.
The street racer is seen weaving between traffic in a range of locations, including under a multi-lane car bridge tunnel.
I'm guessing mouse-only control is done for eye gaze. That was even mentioned in a couple trailers ago. I'm noticing that a lot of developers seem to be focusing on that this year. Like, a lot of games are only playable with the mouse, and that's good because that means if you can't use a keyboard for whatever reason, which is a lot of mobility impaired people, you can use eye gaze to essentially try and make your mouse move across the screen. You can also use things like Talon Voice to do voice commands to control the mouse. I saw a thing called mouseless.click today, which essentially lets you control your mouse using the keyboard. So if you can't use a mouse, you could even use the keyboard to use the mouse-only mode, even though there's also a keyboard mode available. I'm not sure why you would do that, but you can do that if you should want to. So it is good to have that mode. It's just, again, we cannot be playing this. What might be fun, and I might do this on stream, is turn the slider for game speed way down, and then see how we do with just audio, and see how far we get.
All of these settings can be used independently to give you maximum control over your experience. Make the road your battleground and take down the conspiracy in whatever way works for you. Highway Noir is out now and available on Steam.
Yeah, I don't think we'll be getting far with this one, unfortunately. Practically nothing for the fully blind, but some interesting gotchas here, some interesting things, for sure.
In Jig Rift, the world is a giant jigsaw puzzle.
What?
Play as Bert, a castaway on a mythical island that is broken into many pieces. Connect puzzle pieces to explore new paths, discover hidden items, and reassemble the scattered world. Just like life on the tropical island you washed ashore on, the game moves at a relaxed, stress-free pace. Complete puzzles and platforming sections without any time limits or punishments for failure.
I mean, if I land on an uninhabited, abandoned island after I've been shipwrecked, I don't think I'd be very chill, but sure.
There are no quick time events, long button holds, or rapid presses. As you reassemble Jig Rift Island, you'll meet the three-eyed frogs who call it home. If you ever get stuck on a puzzle, some of them might be able to give you a hint. Progress dialogue at your own speed, and repeat conversations as often as you need. For example, you can replay the tutorial by talking to Henriette in her house on the starting island.
An older female frog says, "Not
Rebinding
so easy,
is available for
it?"
keyboard and controller inputs. You can separately invert controls for camera movement, zoom, and puzzle piece movement. There are a few options to help with visual accessibility. Choose between 4 cursor sizes: small, default, large, and extra large. Swap between light or dark mode for text boxes. Increase the field of view to see more of the world, or decrease it to reduce distractions in your periphery. The teams at Empty Castle and Whitethorn Games are so excited to share Jig Rift with you. Look forward to the release later this year on PC and consoles.
I mean, there's not much to say here. This is really hard to make blind accessible. You could probably do something with highlighting the connection points with the keyboard and indicating how many connection points a piece has, and then somehow attaching another piece. It can certainly be done in a sense that you know what you can do. That's doable. I don't think it's easy to make it very apparent what you should do. That would be harder. I mean, when I was a kid, I would play these, and I would literally just see what peg fit in what hole, and I would just make random shapes with it. And if you want to do that, then having at least the ability to do that would be really fun for a certain type of player that's blind. But progressing and actually finishing the game would be exceedingly difficult for this one, I think. Blink.
Hi, I'm Colo. I'm a disabled gamer and content creator, and you can find me primarily on Twitch, but in all of the other places under the name Hello, it's Colo. When thinking about why games accessibility is important to me, it's a really interesting one, because actually, it's not really about the games. Hear me out. It is about the games. I love gaming. Gaming is my job, it is my hobby, it is my community. It is about the games, but actually it's more than that. When a game is accessible for me, it's about being included. It's about being invited, being acknowledged. It's about being able to access something as independently as possible, or completely independently, in a world where independent access isn't actually that common.
Yeah, that's very true. The person is telling some truths here. Noticing a lot of That'll happen a lot now on 64. You gotta adjust your expectations for these kinds of things.
So when a developer adds accessible options, to me,
Hey, Shiro.
it's important because it's an acknowledgement. It's a recognition. It's a, we see you and we haven't excluded you. And that is worth its weight in gold. Games accessibility is important to me because it allows me to do something independently, to have agency, to belong to a community, and to feel acknowledged. And also to play really cool games. I know at the start I said it wasn't about games, but it's also about the really cool games too. So to all of the developers out there and the creators out there going out of their way to make their media accessible, thank you. It doesn't go unnoticed.
Yeah, very true. Like, I give a lot of very critical commentary to these games so far. Like, I will say when I think something could have done better, but it's definitely not taking away from the effort that was done, because it is a lot more than the average game developer is going to put in. And it is definitely appreciated and definitely very much needed in today's world. Definitely even today with the advent of tools that do the coding for us a lot of the time. There's a lot of shifting priorities, and it's very easy to skip accessibility in all sorts of projects, not just games, but in all sorts of things, apps, websites, and yeah, it leaves people like myself and like the person we just saw. I'm not sure what their gender is, so I'm going to go with they. They were very correct in the in stating that yeah, it is inclusion, it is an invitation, it is an acknowledgement of the fact that you were not forgotten about. You know, that the existence of you and the people like you is something this person who made this is aware of and wants to cater to. And we've had standards to do that for 20 years now, but sometimes even more than that. But it's still very, very commonly forgotten. So definitely the people who are doing it, keep doing what you do, keep improving, and keep at it. Let's see what's next.
Hey, I'm Talon, and I was one of the judges on the Games for Blind Gamers 5 Game Jam. As all of the previous jams, this one was a blast, and I want to talk you through some of the games that came out of this jam.
Oh, hey, Talon.
We had a lot of groups this time around as well, so quite a bit fewer solo developers, which is always great to see. And nothing illustrates this more than the top 2 games that were selected by the judges for the Games for Blind Gamers Jam 5. The top spot is taken by Valencia Tales, and this one is an ambitious game, and it's heavily inspired by The Legend of Zelda, and it basically ticks all of the boxes. It's a first-person action-adventure game where your goal is to save Valencia from the clutches of evil. You do this by utilizing your divining rod, which basically lets you see what's around you in the world. So you can turn around and it will tell you what's in front of you and what's around you. It has features for locking on to different things like landmarks or buildings or waypoints. And it also helps you with combat. So it tells you how far away you are from an enemy. And all of these things happen in the game world. There's no separate fighting modality or anything like that. The story is really nice, and there's a bunch of cutscenes, and there are boss fights with different mechanics for different bosses. There are puzzles, small puzzles that you have to solve to progress.
Huh. I played this on stream, but I didn't know it was quite this complicated. I think when I played it, it was not nearly this advanced. Gonna have to give this another look. But yeah, Talon brings up an interesting point. The point of accessibility being in universe and tutorials being in universe. That's really cool. What a lot of accessibility do in AAA games even do these days is essentially they help you get through the main quest, but they often forget to also let you explore. God of War is very guilty of this. But yeah, that is really interesting. And this divining rod situation always tells you essentially what's in front of you. And it can get a little interesting in the sense that you can't choose, I think. I think you can turn some of these things off. It doesn't always happen automatically. You can also use a button to find that stuff out. Obviously, in an action game, you need to be fast. But what a lot of accessibility games get wrong at this point is situational awareness. Like, if you're doing a big fight and you are fighting in, say, a cave with ledges and pillars that you can jump off of, or destructibles in the environment you can use to your advantage, that's almost never conveyed. In God of War Ragnarok, this will constantly bite you in the ass because you don't know where you are in relationship to your opponent. You don't know what's in between you. You don't know what kind of architecture you have to work with, what you can hide behind, where you can like find maybe a cover position to fire at from. There's a lot of like information about your environment missing. And I think this game in particular solved that in a really interesting way. So yeah, we'll definitely play this again on stream, see how they've developed.
Progress from one area to another. And for a game made in such a short time, there's a surprising amount of variety in there, together with the music and the area descriptions and all of the dialogue. And it was a very enjoyable experience. And I was definitely surprised to play it as a game made for the Games for Blind Gamers Jam.
You know, my chicken finder. Have I never shown you before? It's this rod that helps me find my chickens when they get out. It looks mighty fancy, but I'm pretty sure that's all it does, finds chickens.
We tend to not get these kinds of games very heavily, especially not these ambitious kinds of games. But we got multiple of them this year because number 2 in the list is Impulse Response, which is a game oozing with atmosphere and amazing voice acting and a gripping story, which I don't want to spoil too much because I think both of these games are definitely worth playing through. It's a first-person puzzle game, I would say. There's a number of puzzles which get progressively more difficult as you play through the game. And with each one you complete, you unlock more of the story, which is basically told by your characters as you progress through the game. You uncover clues as you go. It's a horror-themed game, so the music and the voice acting and all of the sound effects match that atmosphere perfectly. And this one has a special mechanic where the acoustics of the room are actually modeled in code. So you hear the reverb where the room opens up. You have a mechanic where you can basically clap or like tap your foot, and it will play a click sound, which will then echo through the room and tell you where you can go and where you cannot.
Yellow alert. Reactor offline.
Okay, shut up.
Yellow login success. Engineer Cadence. Quinn, welcome. Please complete health check.
Yeah, health check, then I can get out of the cryo room.
There's a fair number of...
Molidvan says, why do people always only get to the chicken in the first game, Valencia Tales? I think, honestly, I did because in the description, it sort of indicated that it was still very much a work in progress and that there wasn't that much there yet. I think that sort of threw me off because I think I did the chicken and then I finished it. And I didn't think there was much more to it after that. Like I figured, okay, I've seen the dividing rod. I've seen what it does. It's a cool mechanic. And I thought that was really all there was to it. But yeah, I did not know there was even a boss fight to fight. So yeah, definitely picking that one up again. Hopefully there have been updates since the jam as well.
Logic puzzles in this, and I found those to be very enjoyable. Number 3 in the list is Delver's Folly, and this is quite a different game, but it's no less ambitious. It's a roguelike where you basically navigate through a dungeon. You're trying to find the boss. Every time you move to a different section of the dungeon, you get to choose from a list of 3 rooms, which it could be. A lot of these rooms have different properties and different things that they can do. For example, you can grow things if you have the prerequisite rooms linking to it, or you have a chain which is unbroken to that room. For example, water. You can search for materials in each room or for keys or other things. And there's a lot of variety in this game. This one you can also play for a very long time, and there's a lot of replayability in this. There's also amazing voice acting in this, which gives the game a lot of character. I highly recommend you play this one if you like this kind of game. Number 4 is a game made by one of our regulars.
We're going to go through all of them, friend?
In Omega Reach, you explore the universe. You are the curator of a conservatory, and you're tasked with finding instruments and interesting facts about planets and their surrounding space. There's a ton of content here, and you can play each of those instruments. And maybe it also has a dungeon of its own to explore. some fun little characters, and the writing is definitely very unique and definitely very shift-backtic. So if you love their games, you should absolutely play this one also. All of the sound design is synthesized in real time, but where most of Shift Backtick's games are first-person games, this one is a little bit of a different perspective. And number 5 is Fourfold Onslaught, a wave-based first-person zombie shooter with fantastic audio and lots of ways to upgrade your character as you play. The sound design in this one is fantastic. Lots of binaural audio goodness, and it definitely gets quite challenging as time progresses. There are so many games in this game jam that I think are worth playing, so I don't really have the time to go through all of them.
That was my problem as well with this year's game jam. There was a lot of games, so you had to go through all of. We were going to go through all of them, and there were like 36 games or something. So if you want to go through all of them and give them all proper attention, that would take a very long time. And I wanted to make sure to go through all of them, at least up to a point, to give people sort of a vibe on what they were like, in case they wanted to go vote for those games and have time to play them themselves. Which, at that point, it becomes very difficult to go through every game all the way through. Particularly in the short streams I tend to do. PG-13, I did see do a couple of games longer than I did, but they also had streams that I think were quite a bit longer than mine were, even if I did 4 or 5 hours at those particular streams. So that is something you sort of have to weigh as well when you do so many games at once. But yeah, definitely some very good games here. And I kind of feel sad that a lot of the games that come out of these jams freeze after that. Like they don't really get many updates after that. I would love to see some of these, as well as some of last year's, further developed. Let's see what happens with them.
But some notable mentions, And Then She Slept, which I would classify as a kind of Five Nights at Freddy's style game where you protect your sister from evil monsters and help her to fall asleep. Toasty, which is a fun little card game where you have to make toast and not sandwiches. Tape Memories, where you zoom in on different tracks of different audio to figure out what happened last night, and many, many, many more.
Yeah, there were some good ones.
35 entries in total, from maze games to visual novels, reaction games, side-scrolling platformers. Some games were more of a prototype. Some were finished. So it was a nice bunch of different things this time around. This was also the first Games for Blind Gamers jam that happened after Godot added Access Kit integration to their games and the editor. And this is an exciting development because it means that for the first time, blind people actually get access to a fully featured game engine without having to write everything by hand.
Yeah, big change that. Not something we have had for this entire time. We haven't had a game engine ever. That's the sad part. We've had some audio-only ones that had no support for graphics unless you want to do some really interesting hacks. And that meant that if you wanted to make a proper game, you did not have an engine to work with. You had to make your own or clumsily and clunkily work with one that was out there that was sort of kind of maybe a little bit accessible, enough to get the window open at least so you could do what you needed to do. Maybe click a few buttons to compile what you'd written in another editor. But yeah, Godot now has accessibility built in. It's certainly not perfect. There are certainly some things that could still be improved. And I happen to know that Talon, the person we're hearing talking right now, is actually working on some add-ons. I'm pretty sure they may already be out to make some of the stuff even better. I'm pretty sure it's in the Unseen Godot Discord server, where Eric Baum is also active. He's been writing a lot of tutorials, a lot of add-ons as well to make things better. So that's a really cool development. We did some really early looks at this last year on IC Null. And then it was still pretty clunky. I'm actually very curious to revisit it and give another look.
Or use code-first frameworks. This should open up exciting new collaboration avenues in the future, because before now it was pretty difficult for blind and sighted developers to collaborate together if the sighted developers were already used to an engine-based workflow. So if you are a developer and you're thinking of making something like this, or if you're interested in audio games, or if you're blind and you want more games to play, I would highly recommend checking out the Game Jam and all of the previous Game Jams and keeping feelers out for any future Game Jams. Anyway, that's it from me, and I hope this was interesting to you.
Oi, Talon, oi.
Hello again, everyone. I hope you're continuing to enjoy this year's Accessibility Summer Showcase. I'm just popping in quickly to let you know that art asset production for the showcase this year is sponsored by Riot Rockette, a queer art punk collective that blends elements of psychopop and circus dance in their live performances. Here's a brief snippet of one of their songs, Circadian Rhythm.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, gorgeous dolls, grotesqueries, we welcome you to a lovely evening with Riot Rockette. Feast your eyes on wonderful sights you'll see tonight. Bang, bang, can't shoot me down. Bang, bang, here comes another round. Bang, bang, can't shoot me down. Bang, bang, here comes another round. The carousel, it leaps and bounds, and here comes the clown. What you waiting for?
Beautiful.
Their debut album, Idiot Savant Garde, is out now. You can find a link to it down in the video description.
Hello everyone, we are the Ludenio team, and this is us in the game we're currently developing. It's called Super Weird. In this game, you and your friends, or all by yourself, control little robots.
Pill-shaped robots wearing beanie hats are produced by a rusty machine.
And you have an infinite number of them, but they are of very poor quality.
Many of the robots fall apart with no visible damage dealt to them.
They can walk, mine, carry stuff, craft various things, and fight. We are able to improve them, and we can program them, but the robots are of such poor quality that they don't even remember their own program and only execute the single command they encounter.
Physical signposts, when touched, change each robot's direction and behavior.
For example, to mine, or to carry wood, or to use various items we've made for them. And this is how we build our massive automated system in a fragmented world.
Small robots' heads are shown moving across a zoomed-out map.
We're rebuilding it piece by piece, and these pieces are locations where we can discover new resources, advanced technologies, and even fresh sources of robots. In the end, our system can help us defeat the main mega robot. That's why our system needs to be reliable and efficient.
Robots with swords attack a large monster robot.
We want the world of Super Weird to be open to everyone, and to make it happen, we're focusing on these accessibility options. The interface is easy to adjust. You can increase menu contrast or choose a color profile that best fits your vision. To help you stay focused, the cursor and tooltips can be scaled up, so important details are always in clear view. Neutral speech synthesis is available for interface and dialogues.
Upgrade yourself. Let's show those tin cans they are not any better than living beings.
You're free to choose the most comfortable look for your hero. Every color scheme is designed to be easily readable in-game. Controls are fully remappable, and instead of holding down buttons, you can simply set your direction with a single click. Everyone is welcome in the world of Super Weird. Let's build it together.
Welcoming Fisa. Hope you had a good Boo Ghost. This is an interesting one. Basically, yeah, this is Factorio, this is Terraria, this is RimWorld, this is definitely a challenge to make Screen Reader accessible. However, it can certainly be done. It just has not been done, from what I'm hearing from Olidvan in chat. I certainly see some good efforts here. We have remappable controls, we have interfaces that you can scale up and down. The concept's really cool. I think a lot of people who cannot see the screen would struggle with spatial awareness of this. Like, I think you need to put the signs, the command signs, in a very specific spot, and maybe even facing a specific direction in order to get the result you want. That could certainly be done. You'd need a lot of TTS, a very specific way of interacting with the map, with the various items on the map. And And it would take quite some work, but it is definitely accessibilizable, I think. That's a new word. Accessibilizable. Make an accessibilizable emote, someone. But that is a shame. I would have actually liked to play this.
Hey everyone, I'm super excited to tell you a bit about hurdles.
Wait, I thought there was more to this game. Yeah, like I said, Factorio, Terraria, RimWorld. I guess Satisfactory, although it's not accessible either. The word nerd. Welcome in the word nerd. Yeah, they might be called Claude. I don't know, maybe, perhaps. But yeah, this, I would actually love to play with this. Like, if it's a Unity game, I might try to make a mod myself. But yeah, this is cool. We'll have to see how this progresses in the coming time. No indication if this was out or not. I'm gonna have to look at the Steam page to see where we're at with that. But yeah, we'll see. Let's see what this next game is. We just switched right on to the next one.
Our Spyro and Zelda-inspired adventure game where you play as a magical dog.
A magically dog. Also, welcome in, Word Nerd. I don't think I welcomed you.
We are a small team of 3 people at the core, and the hero of our game is actually inspired by my real-life companion. From the start, we wanted accessibility to be part of our design philosophy, instead of something we only think about at the end.
A fluffy and athletic black and white dog jumps across floating stone platforms and bridges, collecting glowing purple crystal fragments, before dashing through a grassy field.
One conscious choice we made was to keep the controls consistent throughout the game.
Okay, I have... What? Why would you want your controls to be inconsistent in games? Is that an accessibility feature now? I feel that's just common sense. I will say a common sense a lot of game developers are lacking, but that's not accessibility. That's just... Yes, you should be doing that.
You do not level up or unlock new powers. Instead, you rescue magical creatures called hurdles, and they give you contextual abilities while keeping the control scheme the same. They let you bounce, glide, break walls, swim up waterfalls, and more. New hurdles open up additional paths through our world, and they allow for all sorts of emergent gameplay. There are always multiple ways to progress, so where you go and what you choose to do is completely up to you. Cool. We also have puzzles in our game. But if a puzzle does not work for you, we do not want that to be a barrier. You can get hints, disengage easily, or use options including auto-solving the puzzle.
Okay. Auto-solve is essentially a skip, which we see in some games, like skip the puzzle. The Last of Us does this too, for example. We don't see any blind accessibility here again.
Square tiles float in a purple void. When rearranged, they create a blue path across the void to the exit.
There is no combat or death in hurdles. So if you miss a jump and fall down, you do not just respawn at the top and have to try again. Instead, you continue on your way and you might even discover something new. Something you might have missed if you had made the jump.
That kind of makes me wonder how far we would get if we just play without being able to see. Like, if you can technically not fail, does that mean that essentially just going forward and jumping a lot will get you to the end? I'll have to try that.
We added options like platform snapping and ledge guard. For some players, these can make platforming less frustrating, and for blind and low vision players, options like these can be essential to making the game playable at all.
You just dropped the blind word, Mr. Friend. You dropped the blind word, so you know of us. Did you make it accessible for us? I've sincerely doubt it.
We already have a lot of accessibility features in the game. Things like a high contrast mode that lets you define the colors, but also sliders for brightness, contrast and saturation. Options that let you play one-handed, or give you more control over character mechanics like changing how jumping or running works. Other options help with different types of motion sickness. We generally try to provide as many ways as we can to let you customize the experience to your needs. One of our favorite features is that everything that is a toggle in the options menu can be mapped to a button. So for example, if you only need high contrast in certain situations, you can bind it to a button. Then you just turn it on when you need it, do the thing, and turn it off again afterwards. We want accessibility to be accessible during play, not hidden away in menus. Starting today, we are running a closed playtest with a focus on accessibility and would really appreciate your feedback. You can sign up now at playhurdles.com. The website also has a list of all current accessibility options available in the game. If Hurdles seems interesting to you, please consider wishlisting and joining our community.
Okay. I'll try it. I don't think we'll get far because we were name dropped. There's ledge guards, so you won't just outright fall off a ledge, but you also don't know where to go or where you're going or you're coming from or what you're supposed to do. So in that sense, is it accessible? No. Were we thought of? Yes. Is that going to be enough? I don't know, but probably not. We'll have to look.
Frame of Mind, a game of thoughts, plays with inclusion, representation and accessibility. It's made by me, a disabled developer, to share some experiences and insights. You can expect easy controls, light mechanics and heavy topics.
In this first
easy controls is something that I hear a lot in this showcase. Accessibility doesn't necessarily mean easy. It's good for people who cannot use the controls, though. So it's one of those things that you can very easily get annoyed about, but easy controls doesn't mean easy game. It just means easily usable controls if you don't have the dexterity or the, I guess, use of your hands or any all sorts of things that you cannot do with a controller, and you can still enjoy the game. That's actually a good thing, I would say. You don't have to use those if you don't like it.
As an adventure, you're exploring a house. The player stops to examine a crafted skull covered in intricate patterns.
A crafted skull? Why in the name of hula hoop would you craft a skull?
Frame of Mind has you discover a totally typical girl through finding mementos, listening to memories and making decisions that don't really have good answers.
Cool.
If that sounds difficult, maybe you can relate to her struggle. And perhaps even benefit from one of the aids you can find as you go through her room.
On a corkboard, the player combines partial thoughts to come up with ideas.
Shirokat trit kronsi. Shirokat. You have been redeemed, friend. Here you go. One more? Good job. No, now we're done. Now we're done. 2 treats. That's the appointment. That's the agreement we have. Hello. Hello. Kitty. Okay. Button.
Cheers.
I don't want to take that challenge away from you, but I do want you to make informed decisions about your own mental health. The premises and topics of the game are described in detail, so you can read up on what to expect. Content notes will give you a heads up about sensitive issues for each memento that you can find, and if you don't want to listen to the emotional retrospectives, you can choose to mute the voiceover or even skip as many of the memories as you want.
A story describes frustration with a parent, feeling like eating is getting in the way of drama practice.
But it's still a game to struggle with your feelings and not a game to struggle against my controls. So by design, it's very accessible for players with motor disabilities. It's a walking simulator with no complex inputs required. You can always save and come back later. And while there is one rushed story decision for you to make, you can help yourself in the settings if you really want to experience the time-sensitive timeline.
The player stands in a train station, explores a station map, then boards an empty train by themselves.
In terms of sensory accessibility, I ensure legibility through good fonts, good contrast and proper scaling by default. If you need more control, you can adjust audio levels, reduce motion overall, reduce gesture head bobbing, apply high frequency filters. And if my selection of legible fonts doesn't meet your needs, you can just use one from your system configuration instead.
The game's developer showcases visually the accessibility settings options previously verbally discussed.
Sadly, some of my original plans, especially full screen reader support, a simplified control scheme and closed captions, did not yet work out. But you can play the game blind with an assistant and all important dialogue is always displayed via text.
Perkele. Okay, we're doing this again, are we? Okay. Okay. It's yeah. How do I word this? Okay, so on the one hand, at least the guy tried. Okay, at least the guy tried to get screen reader support in there. At least he knows what a screen reader is. Let's start there. That's already very rare. Screen reader is a lot of people think we talk to our phones and our computers, and we only listen to audiobooks and don't know what a video is. But apart from that, this guy at least knows what a screen reader is. What does he actually say? Is he going to implement it later?
Support a simplified control scheme and closed captions did not yet work out.
He says not yet.
But you can play the game blind with an assistant, and all important dialogue is always displayed via text.
And you're leaving it there?
Of supported features, planned features, and known issues is linked on our store page.
Frame of Mind, a game of thought.
I find this an interesting take from this person, because they're all about mental health. They're all about dealing with mental issues in a way that's it's all about essentially the struggle. And the fact that he knows screen reader support is a thing makes me optimistically hopeful he's going to eventually add it. But I don't know, just the casual way that came out. Yeah, you can play with an assistant, and the text is always visible. I hope he doesn't just leave it there. I really do. I hope that we'll see this being improved. But yeah, this was certainly a take. I get what he's trying to say. This might honestly be a bit of a pragmatic versus language barrier situation where he's trying to say, I know the fact that this sucks, but until I get to it, you can play with an assistant if that's the way you like to play. I hope that's what he means. I really do. Because if he just sort of decides, well, didn't happen, sorry, play with an assistant, it's essentially Adamfall all over again. And yeah, not loving that framing whatsoever. No.
Thoughts. The logo is surrounded by complex teenage thoughts, including, I like boy stuff. That has my mother worried.
Also, this is text. Sorry, but depending on your game engine, and I haven't looked at the game, I don't know what this is using, but if this is one of the most common game engines, RenPy, Unity, Godot now, you could probably just TTS it if you really have that much of an issue with it. Unreal is harder, for sure. If that's what the game is written in, then that's definitely not easy. But yeah, I do hope the guy doesn't leave it here. He says there's a link you can go to see what is still sort of supported and what's coming up. Somebody needs to go check that link to see if there's any more clues there.
Hi everyone, my name is Leo. My pronouns are they, them, and I am a disabled gamer and accessibility advocate. Gaming accessibility is important because everyone should be able to access the self-care and social benefits of gaming. Games have connected me with so many wonderful people, including my husband and many of my friends. I cherish memories of meeting new people and connecting with others through a love of gaming. When I first became disabled, I was worried I would not be able to participate in those activities anymore because I could no longer use a standard video game controller. However, thanks to the work of incredible accessibility advocates before me, I've still been able to play many video games and make new memories. I'm thankful to the game developers in this showcase that have made accessibility a priority.
I'm not sure what it is about their delivery, but it really feels read off a script to me, like a teleprompter or like an auto cue of some kind. No problem if that's how you do your best work. It's just something I noticed.
If a game is made accessible for even just one more person, it makes a world of difference. I can't wait to see what this year in accessible gaming brings.
Hello again, I'm Yamako, and I'm a solo developer making games under the name /badgames.zip. And this is Piecewise. It's my second game, and I tried to keep it pretty simple, just a daily puzzle game where the puzzles change every day. Though puzzles might be a bit of a stretch, the goal is to put each of these shapes in its matching slot, and gameplay-wise, you've got 2 hands to work with. That's where the skill expression, or skill ceiling, or whatever, comes from.
Bright, colourful shapes surround a grid of squares and silhouettes. The player can pick up any shape into a left or right hold slot, then place it into its matching silhouette.
Now, there's quite a lot of shapes and quite a lot of slots, and you've got limited time to get it done. And only your first try each day will get ranked on the online leaderboards. Everything after that is just practice, and you can practice as much as you want. But that first try, where you're seeing today's shapes for the first time, is pure skill, and that's why it's so important. So I made this game with the personal goal of improving my skills as a developer, and I kept a small scope so that I could meet myself where I'm at, with a reasonable challenge for my skill level.
Fair.
And that's what I'm inviting you to do when you play Piecewise. You can fully customize the time limit to fit your skill level, since everyone's different. But no matter what, you'll want to make sure that time limit is challenging for you. Your chosen time limit will determine a multiplier that gets applied to your raw final time. In other words, the lower that you set your time limit, the more your final time gets reduced, and the better your ranked time becomes. So don't set the limit too low, or you'll fail and your run won't be ranked. But don't set it too high either, as too much of a safety net means that your multiplier will be worse.
It's the same guy.
So instead of me making static difficulties, each player gets to set their own level of challenge, and you're encouraged to make it as hard as possible to get the best times. If you think you can beat the board in 30 seconds, you've got 1 shot to prove your skills. There are daily online leaderboards for each board in the game, if you like competition, but they're not really the focus. There's a full records browser for you to track your own personal skill improvement, and in the full version of the game, I'll be adding bonus modes for even more offline content.
Modes include lookalikes, rounds, sharps, everything, 6x6, and marathon mode.
And finally, let's talk accessibility to round things out. Aside from the flexible difficulty, the game's colors are calculated to always guarantee high contrast, even though the colors change daily. On the topic of visuals, you're also able to turn off the floating shapes in the background in case that constant movement back there causes any kind of motion sickness. It'll instead be replaced with a static, solid color background. There's also an alternate toggle-based control scheme for players who might have trouble holding down the buttons, and, of course, an alternate font if you don't like the pixel text. And there's full controller support, alongside a mouse-only control scheme that supports one-handed play. It's a simple game, but I'm really proud of it. I had a great time making it, and I hope you like it. The demo is out now on Steam, with an itch.io web build coming soon, and the full game releasing soon after that. For updates and news, you can find badgames.zip on Patreon to get important info sent straight to your email for free. And I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching my trailer. This took way too long to make, but I hope I explained everything well enough and made it understandable. I hope you liked the trailer, and I hope you thought my game looked fun. So, thanks for watching again, and take care.
Honestly, I kind of wish we had more games like this. Particularly in the mobile space, there's a lot of games where really all you do is you match things together, you merge things together, you do a match 3 kind of situation. It can be very interesting to just sort of sit down and play essentially a mindless game for half an hour, or an hour, or 2 hours, or half a day. But I don't think there's any accessible game in that space right now. Not even on a computer, not really. There's a couple that come close, like the Galactic Rock Survivor. There is Plants vs. Zombies that kind of does that. There is, I guess, Cookie Clicker. But nothing really kind of like puzzly. And I think it can be done in an audio way. It just hasn't been done. Not really. It's a shame. Like, make something like fucking Candy Crush accessible. They're gonna do something interesting. Make low threshold, low effort games. I think we have very few of those. Like, not to the point where it becomes boring. I don't mean something like Crazy Darts, where all you do is just press the button when the sound is in the center. That's a bit too mindless. But a bit higher up than that. Like, make it all flashy, add a bunch of achievements. No one's done that, I don't think. No game I know does that. And this kind of feels... Yeah. ADO FAI works for a degree, and you need to certainly be sort of a particular person to be able to do that in that particular sort of vibe out, zone out way. But yeah, there's almost no game that does that. It's kind of depressing, honestly. I mean, in a sense, it's probably good. It's very interesting. Like, I'm curious if that's going to change now that Godot is accessible and AI can be used to vibe code things up. Something that came close was something Jamie Tame made, was sort of a Simon situation, but you play on a virtual keyboard. So you get a little ditty and you have to play it on the keyboard or on your MIDI keyboard. And if you have a MIDI keyboard, that can be a fun practice routine or just a fun little Simon. I mean, it's still Simon. It's still going to be boring after a while, but yeah, it's fun. And that idea actually gave me like a whole idea of we could probably make some kind of, musician or like Flow Academy, other piano-based games like that, where essentially the notes you're supposed to play come down from up at the top of the screen, and you have to play them to get points. That's, I think, pretty easy to do audio-wise as well. It just hasn't been done yet. So there's a huge canvas of things that are out there that just haven't been made accessible yet, and that can only be one place at a time. So, if some of those ideas sound cool and you have a cloud subscription or really good programming skills, go make that stuff. It's cool.
Gather your allies, eliminate angels, transform into a magical girl, slay God. In Kernel Hearts, fight your way through angel-infested domains alone or in a team of up to 4 players.
Also, why are we fighting angels and God? Are magical girls the enemy of Christianity now?
Mix and match your attacks, spells, and movement in each run to unleash devastating combos on enemies.
In third person, a young woman battles monsters with a rapier-style sword.
The developers at Ephemera Games, in collaboration with Whitethorn Games, have designed Kernel Hearts to challenge...
Why do we keep seeing Whitethorn Games? Like, I guess they are some kind of big accessibility player now.
...longtime action RPG fans, while being a welcoming experience for players new to the genre. There are 3 difficulty levels. Story, for those looking for a less intense, more narrative-focused experience. Normal, the default balanced experience. And Sinner, a hardcore mode for those looking for an extra challenge. Every rest area includes a playroom, where players can practice movement and attacks at their leisure. To make inputs easier to remember, there is an option to keep a list of controls visible on the left side of the screen at all times.
The player character jumps, flips, and dashes through the air while performing melee combos.
Full remapping is available for keyboard and controller. Players can separately adjust the sensitivity of the left and right analog sticks, invert their X and Y axes, and enable or disable vibrations.
Okay.
There are a variety of options for visual comfort. Toggle motion blur, bloom, and screen shake effects to reduce eye strain while traversing the overworld. Text boxes are high contrast with white text on dark gray backgrounds. In multiplayer, each player can advance dialogue at their own pace, and combat won't begin until all players are ready.
The player dashes across a desert, collecting colourful flame pickups.
Check out the public demo available now, and please look forward to the full release of Kernel Hearts this fall on Steam, the Epic Games Store, the Microsoft Store, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series S and X, and Nintendo Switch 2.
Okay, so that is a very long list of platforms, which tells me it's a cross-platform platformer. Damn it! A cross-platform engine, potentially Unity. If it is Unity, this should be relatively easy to make accessible. because they didn't do it. Not for us, at least. Like, I'm wondering how far you could get with this, because it sounds pretty mindless in a you don't necessarily need to always know what's going on kind of way. Like, the controls were visually on the screen. We can probably look those up somewhere. The text box might be OCRable. Again, that's not how most people like to play video games. And I would have loved for them to do more where this is a concern. Like, there's some accessibility features for sure. And good job for that. But yeah, we were unfortunately skipped once more. And I don't think we had to in this particular instance. I think there was a way to include, like, we have seen some tricky visual puzzles where I would have sort of, hand waved the complaints and go, okay, yeah. Making a jigsaw puzzle accessible is hard because you need to know where you're going with it, and that may not always be super easy to convey. But this could have easily be done, provided the engine supports it, which it may very well not. I'm talking from a very general point of view here. So yeah, let's keep it on this. There is a public demo. I guess we'll play it on stream sometime and see how far we get. There is a list on that summer sale 2026, which is good because I am almost going to forget what we're going to play on stream otherwise.
Fishbowl is a slow and tender narrative game about dreams, grief, and hope. Rediscover your memories and find your way into the present in this intimate experience where slice of life meets surreal. In Fishbowl, 21-year-old Alo gets her first job in a new city and lives by herself while grieving her grandma's death.
A young woman with purple hair explores her apartment, doing household chores. A mechanical wind-up goldfish sits in a bowl nearby. Her emotional state is shown via a meter on screen, with positivity or depression determining the activities she feels able to engage in. She takes part in video calls with her friends and family, as well as having flashbacks to her childhood. Many of these memories center around her grandmother.
Gives me Fiction Factory vibes.
You rediscover memories of Alo's childhood by sorting through her late grandma's things. Take your time to take in each object. There are no time limits here. You can also choose to skip the puzzles entirely. Fishbowl is a visual novel about becoming an adult and seeing your childhood in a new light. Have conversations with your friends and co-workers, turn off typing effects, or increase the font size for an easier reading experience. Alo works as a junior video editor for a social media star. In this arcade-style matching game, you can use both colors and icons to make sure the video clips reach the correct track.
Very good. That's good. Not just color, but also icons. Good idea. I'm kind of sad this isn't accessible for us, because it very easily could have been, I think.
Speed of the snippets to suit your playstyle. Since the game deals with difficult topics, it starts with a gentle content warning, linking to a full content warning on our website that includes spoilers. As you slowly piece together the meaning of your dreams and memories, you learn more about the darkness in Alo's world. The visual settings let you turn off screen shake and sway if you need to. We also have both visual and audio cues for events throughout the game. In Fishbowl, there are no right endings and no grinding. Do as much or as little as you're able to. Since we are a small team of 2, we weren't able to implement everything we wanted. Some of the things we couldn't get to were excluding the need for buttonholes during the unpacking puzzle and QuickTime events, and forcing some timed input during the QuickTime events. Fishbowl is now available on Steam and PlayStation 5.
So, I'm laughing because the previous guy who said we could play with an assistant, at least mentioned, listen, didn't get screen reader support. And sorry guys, this person is apparently not even aware that a hard, like 95% text-based game should be very playable by people who primarily read text, but they just didn't do that. Which, again, is a very telling statement to make. Again, very good what you did manage to do. Hats off for that. But yeah, kind of sad that you forgot about us. Sorry.
Hello everyone, I am Sightless Combat, award-winning multi-credited accessibility consultant.
Yeah, and your fish is made of gold. Thank you, Sightless.
And gamer without sight, as well as accessible gaming officer for RNIB, that is Royal National Institute of Blind People.
You're playing games that blind people cannot play with the hashtag RNIB in your streams. Please stop talking about blind people. Thank you.
The UK-based Sight Loss charity, and I am honoured to once again be returning to introduce a game at the Accessibility Summer Showcase. Now, the game in question is one that I had never heard of before this event, but was very interested when I heard the words fully blind accessible as a potential thing that was being aimed for during development.
Last time you gave us bits and bobs. Do better this time, please.
This game is very much under my radar, and it is very unusual. It is quirky, it is interesting, and I reckon it has a sporting chance of being the highlight of people's shows.
It's Simon, isn't it?
And also, the people who are really interested in it might be making a big racket about it.
It's Simon, isn't it?
Yes, both of those are puns. Yes, both of those are relevant. Why are they relevant? Because this game is the Tennis Academy.
It's Simon, isn't it?
What is the Tennis Academy?
It's Simon, isn't it?
In short, it is an anime-inspired, yes, tennis RPG.
It's Simon, isn't it?
Which sounds ridiculous when you think about it, but also sounds really, really cool. Particularly given I saw mention of giant boss fights and heroic tennis battles on the Steam page, which I would highly recommend going and wishlisting once you've seen the trailer if you like this. This is a solo game dev crafting this in Godot, which is also having accessibility work looked into by the community and various developers, which is really cool to see as well. I am really interested to see how this works when it comes out and when there are playable builds and things. But without further ado, I will let the trailer do the explaining, because
Please do.
I don't think I could do this justice. Here is the Tennis Academy. Exaggerated anime characters compete in dramatic tennis gameplay.
Welcome to the Tennis Academy. Hi, I'm Rob, the solo creator of the Tennis Academy, an RPG early in development.
Your tennis opponent is a water-themed boss who disappears underwater briefly on dive receives.
Humankind used to be at war until the goddess bestowed us with the holy sport of tennis. You are enrolled at New Tensington Academy, where you meet a tennis ball fairy named Servi, acquire powerful tenergy skills, save the school from monsters, and go on romantic dates with your doubles partner.
That's fucking amazing. Sorry. Oh, that's great. We got a dating simulator. We got over the top RPG storyline and some kind of mini game that's the fights. This, and of course you can date your double. And a gothic and sporty vampire.
Your tennis opponents are an orcish man and a gothic but sporty vampire.
My goal is to make the game completely blind accessible, meaning a blind player can play the entire game without needing a sighted player for help, and have just as much fun playing as well.
I find the phrase sighted player interesting to choose here. Like, did you think we played only games with sighted people?
If I, as a solo developer, can do this, then AAA has no excuse.
You're not wrong there.
To accomplish this, I'm implementing a swath of accessibility features I'd like to share with you all.
Cool.
The first feature for navigation is a virtual cane.
The right analog stick extends a line out into the top-down game world, which collides with world objects.
Researchers at Columbia University had promising results with this, and I think it could become standard practice in video games. Use the right stick to send out your cane, and the text-to-speech will tell you whatever it hits.
Street lamp. Tree.
For quick and easy navigation, there's also a nav menu that can warp you to important NPCs and exits.
Gym. Outside.
I'm also including audio descriptions for every environment. In any location, you can call Servi and ask her to describe the location in vivid detail as if your DM was describing a place in a D&D session.
Okay, these are some really cool, interesting things we're seeing here. So I was a little about the cane thing, because that still gives you that problem I was describing earlier, where you get a little bit of the environment, but only one thing at a time, which ironically and interestingly is how a lot of blind people actually explore the real world. You have to essentially go down a street bit by bit. You have to figure out where trees are, where cars are, essentially as you walk past them, and then essentially memorize that layout. But with the addition of describing the environments, and even getting like a good description from essentially an on-demand perspective, that could actually be really cool, because then you get to explore and you know essentially what you're exploring, which gives you context for the things you bump into. Like if the Survey tells you that there's a lamppost right next to a trash can, and for whatever reason you need to empty that trash can or do some other side quest involving the trash can. If you find the lamppost, and there's only one lamppost in the area, then you know you're almost there. You have that exact same experience that you would have in the real world translated to an anime game, which very interesting to see this. I'm very curious to see how well this will go.
The vaguely tennis ball shaped window. Your computer desk suggests someone who's chronically online. While the unkempt wardrobe is adorned with plants and a high school trophy. The bed, while messy, looks cozy with its big orange comforter.
By the way, did you know that there are blind tennis leagues in real life? Matches in the game will take inspiration from this, with sound-adapted tennis balls and the option to auto-run to the ball. If you want to support your local queer indie game dev making a blind-accessible game, you can help me out by hitting the wishlist ball on Steam and keeping up with updates there or on my Blue Sky. Thanks for watching.
Yeah. I'm curious about this one. I don't know when it's going to come out. It's still in early development, so it's not anywhere near done yet, but curious to see how this will work. Not loving the warping to different things. If that's not a feature in the regular game, I don't think I would want to be using that too much unless I have to. But yeah, there's some interesting mechanics here that, particularly the description, I'm wondering if that's AI based. Be curious to see if this is fun at all. I'll be very interested to play this, although I don't think I'll be able to live with the damage to my self-respect if I do play this on Steam. Date my double. Did we do it? Did we do it? Did we do it? You missed an anime tennis game, Olidvan. Sightless introduced it. Of course, you saw the thing already, so you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, we just saw the tennis game, and I laughed heartily at the fact that you can date your double. Very fun. Very curious how that's going to go. I think we're done.
Hello, and welcome to the 2026 Accessibility Summer Showcase.
Wait.
Now entering...
Works as a junior video editor for...
Okay, we're done. Yeah, we're done. We just restarted the video. Oops. We started into the BSI, the BSL or ASL version, I think. Yeah, the British Sign Language. Britse gebarentaal. Because Google can't leave my titles alone and change them into Dutch now. But yeah, that was the whole thing. Guys, I hope this was fun. I've been going about half an hour longer than I normally would. But that was the Accessibility Showcase. If you want to support your original creator, that is Laura K. Buzz on YouTube. Definitely go check the video out or drop them a subscribe if that's what you want to do. Always good to, when you do reactions like this, to also support the official creator. I am not monetized, but they definitely, I'm pretty sure they are. I'm not sure if this is ad supported, but numbers help the algorithm anyway. So yeah, definitely check them out on YouTube and anything else that they might be on. The list for this, the Steam sales page for all of these is bit.ly/summer showcase 2026, and be aware those S's are capitalized. Yeah, that's all the games we're going to be looking forward. Like a number of them I would definitely like to play. Obviously the blind accessible ones first and foremost, the Torment Hexus, the tennis game, and another one that I forget and I have to look at it again. And then there's a couple where it's not accessible, but I still like to see how far we get. Like that dog game, the game with the platforming, the Kernel Hearts, I think it was called, the angels fighting, the magical girls fighting angels. What is it with the anime themes? And yeah, and a couple of other things. We'll have to see how well they go. Yeah, a couple things I think is a shame that they weren't included. A couple things might be really interesting to look at from a modding perspective. Very interesting set of games this year. I think I'm a little bit more enthusiastic about this kludge of games than I was about last year's. And we definitely had a couple more games we can outright just play right away, which is always nice. Yeah, without further ado, I think that's about it for me. Let me see if it is at all a good way to end the stream by rating out. Yeah, it might be. Let's have a look. Let's have a look who's out there for us to bully. Got to do that Twitch networking, get more people in here so we can get more, lively streams, more people in, and more questions that I can answer. Because that's really ultimately why I do these streams videos, to teach more people that, we exist. So I don't have to say so often that why didn't they think that we existed? Is there anyone there that we can bully? I'm doing a super quick look. Not immediately. Oh, Spartacus. What's you playing? You're playing... Just chatting. Okay, well, let's see if you're still there. If you're still there, we'll go bully you. But yeah, this has been the react of this. Next week, we'll be going, maybe covering some of the games we've seen, maybe covering some of the games that we covered already during the Games for Blind Gamers content, maybe a bit more into that. Valencia's Tales in particular comes to mind. Let me do this here super quick.
Raid initiated.
Apart from that, there's a number of tech things I've been working on. I've been working on a client for a set of electric guitars called Moore, which have the amplifier built in, which is really cool. But the application is, of course, garbage. So I'm making my own script for it. The Ableton stuff's still working. The Dual Links is still working. Greyhack is still working. Loads of things happening on the Patreon side. So if you want to check that out and support me along the way, that's patreon.com/Zersiax. If that's not your thing, cool
60
too.
seconds remaining.
Blame you. It's a weird economy out there right now. Apart from that, have fun with Spartacus in the coming time. I'm not sure what he's doing, but he's usually a fun dude to hang around with. So have fun with him. As for the techie stuff that we'll do on stream, I'm not entirely sure when that's resuming. I'm probably doing some Try Hack Me in the coming time because they have an AI certificate now. And they have a new junior penetration testing path, which... I started that when I started the ICNL
30
channel.
seconds remaining.
We might resume it at some point. Still haven't decided if I'm going to merge these together yet or not. We'll have to see how that progresses. And there's, of course, also a bunch of YouTube videos coming George R.R. Martin style, in the sense that they'll get there when they get there. Until then, I have been me, you have been you. Hope you're
10
good.
seconds
Hope
remaining.
your day's good. Hope your night's good. Have fun with the next stream, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Raid forwarded to Super TQs.